Is it even possible for a new competitor to enter the missile market? Non-competitive. Because just a few giants win the majority of the 20 billion plus in contracts available every year. Barracuda, one of 2024's biggest hardware announcements. In this video, I'm going to cover the DoD missile budget, huge missile contracts, and the promise of Barracuda, Anduril's brand new platform. Yemeni rebels have been causing a whole bunch of problem in the Red Sea, one of the world's largest shipping passages. When the US deployed one major force in the region, it was effective, but not across all categories.
The weapon systems that you have on board here, and specifically the Standard missiles, those are expensive weapons, and you're using them to shoot down $10,000 drones.
Deployed warships launched 155 Standard missiles and 135 Tomahawk missiles for both self-defense and pre-planned strikes. Aircrafts expended nearly 60 air-to-air missiles and 420 air-to-surface missiles. The majority of these missiles cost $1 million or more a unit, and they are being used to defend against drones and missiles reportedly in the tens of thousands. It's a complete cost imbalance. In November of 2023, Congress appropriated 26 of the $113 billion going to Ukraine just to replenish items and weapons used in that process, notably missiles and munitions. Deterrence is a strategy that seeks to prevent an actor from taking a specific action. This is one of the guiding defense principles since the bombs were dropped in World War II. At the same time, the 2022 National Defense Strategy placed the following phrase as their #1 priority: defending the homeland pays to the growing multi-domain threat posed by the People's Republic of China. So when the Government Accountability Office's 2023 assessment highlights $192 billion in funding since the inception of the 2002 Foreign Missile Defense Agency, you know all of this is super serious. 10% of the DoD's 2025 weapon systems budget is going to missiles and munition, the majority of that to missiles. Strategic missiles, $7.2 billion. Tactical missiles, $16 billion. The chart's super clear. You can see year by year increases. If we flash back just 10 years, it looks like we're at triple the annual expenditure. Lockheed, Raytheon, Northrop, Boeing, General Dynamics, the military conglomerates, they'll be taking just about every bit of that missile budget. In 2023, Lockheed's Missile and Fire Control Group earned over $11 billion, 15% of their annual revenue, and they closed the year with a $32 billion backlog. This fall, Raytheon locked in $2 billion of contract awards for Sidewinders and Javelins. The Javelin joint venture is an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity product contract with a ceiling of $7.2 billion through 2026. Last year, $1.15 billion was awarded as the largest advanced medium-range air-to-air missile contract to date. Earlier this year, Boeing was awarded $7.5 billion on an indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity contract for JDAM, a low-cost guidance kit for dumb bombs. If we date back to 2020, we can find over $13 billion to Northrop going to revamp new intercontinental ballistic missiles. An investment in enhancing the US's nuclear deterrence. Anduril, they're the insanely fast-growing startup, not even 10 years old, valued at over $14 billion, who clearly stand the greatest chance to become that next prime contractor with a modern twist. If you want to learn more about Anduril, I made a previous video on them covering the history of the company and how fast they've been creating all of these different product lines. Well, Anduril recently gave us and then they announced Barracuda and Arsenal are not just here to address a $20 billion opportunity. They're addressing depleted missile stocks, scale-up production challenges, and what the modern autonomous battlefield is going to look like. It's not clear Anduril's Arsenal facility will be manufacturing Barracuda, and sources seem to suggest no, but the clear message is agile, hyperscale production. 10 or less tools to assemble, widely available components from existing supply chains and complementary products, surely, and software defined, meaning code changes rather than hardware changes. Barracuda is an autonomous air vehicle, and it comes in 3 forms: 100, 250, and 500, spanning a range of less than 120 nautical miles to more than 500 nautical miles, and delivering payload ranges from 35 pounds to over 100 pounds. Undoubtedly, Anduril's previous acquisition of solid rocket motor companies and technology prop up the 5 Gs of maneuverability and the 120 plus minutes of loitering time from Barracuda's turbojet. Launch platforms include rotary and fixed-wing aircraft, ground vehicles and boats, major fighter planes, palletized systems like the C-17 and C-130, and other surface platforms. There's also Barracuda M for munition, available in the same formats. This is the highly affordable, producible, and adaptable cruise missile that Anduril suggests takes 50% less time to produce, requires 95% fewer tools, and 50% fewer parts, resulting in something 30% cheaper. With Anduril, the key piece always gets back to autonomy and their Lattice software product, because Anduril is in the next phase of the Air Force's Collaborative Combat Aircraft Program, an autonomous air vehicle program. Novel, autonomous, and collaborative behaviors that's read directly from the press release. And it makes a lot of sense when you think of a software that connects all of their products, and even third-party products. Let's have one more look at the billions flowing into different missile systems. Anduril, the modern defense company that has either developed themselves or acquired more than 10 complementary products, all working under the same autonomous software, Lattice. They've entered the missile market with Barracuda. They say that Barracuda can be produced at higher volume, faster, and for much less cost. All of that promise stacks up against kamikaze drones being used in the Red Sea to harass commerce vessels, and even our own ships, where contracts to replenish 4,000 javelins in the Ukraine are being written for. And when the Congressional Research Service is questioning if we even have the production capability that we need domestically. For all of these, we must welcome Anduril, an ambitious entrant. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, give a comment bad or negative. Anduril is always going to be a polarizing topic. The reality is there's people who have worked for these classic military companies. Anduril, on the other hand, is a classic kind of Silicon Valley-esque company building with this tech idea, and well, they've raised a lot of money very fast.